have two videos dropping today. This is the first one. The second one is pretty amazing as well. But this is the jury questions. And even if you've seen this posted on Twitter by Zach DuPont, which is a great post, Amy added some clarifications and context because nobody yesterday knew, the people that were in the gallery didn't know that the audio wasn't recording. So nobody was thinking like, oh, I need to like take notes down verbatim because nobody can hear. So Zach DuPont did an amazing job, and Amy came in and added some information as well to those posts, some of the questioning and answering and clarifications. Definitely worth the watch. Also, I have a video dropping today with two calls from Amy. This is somebody that's in the gallery in the trial and a supporter of the channel and a friend. And she gave some really insightful, great information if you missed it. So I'm posting that later today. I'll put the links to Zach's Twitter in the description and comment section. Also, the video that's coming out later, I'll put the links for that as well. Hey everybody, it's iCkEdMeL, and I have Amy here with me, our channel friend. She's been going to the trial. She's been there twice, and she's given us really insightful information from the gallery. And we wanted to go over these jury questions, and Zach DuPont here, which Amy was telling me, he's a reporter with the Gazette, you were saying, I think?
Yes, the Colorado Springs Gazette newspaper.
Okay.
And online.
Okay.
Yes.
I figure we can go over this stuff because I know you were telling me there's some things that you can add to this. And I think he said he got like 6 out of the 7 questions, and I just know there's a lot you can probably add to it as well. So let me just start. It's not even 6, I think. Let me see. He has, oh yeah, 6. Okay. 6.
6 out of 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he says here that these aren't direct quotes. He's paraphrasing. There was a total of 7 questions from the jury, and let's get into it. So question 1, in what way would Stauch giving Gannon enemas impact her relationship with him? Do you want to add to that question first, or should we just jump to the answer?
Go ahead and do his answer, and then
Okay.
I'll elaborate or say, yes, that's spot on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the answer here listed is Lewis said that enemas, especially performed regularly on a child, can be a form of child molestation and sexual assault. However, Lewis cautioned that this claim from Stauch may not be true.
Absolutely 100% what was said and answered.
Okay. Now, question 2, did the number of cases drop at Bellevue, the hospital Lewis used to work at, after Lewis's dissociative identity disorder clinic opened?
Okay, he has this backwards. It was, did the number of cases increase at Bellevue after Lewis's dissociative identity disorder clinic opened? And the cases did go up when the clinic opened. And they also asked, did the number of cases drop once the clinic closed? And she said she didn't have the numbers. And I do want to say Zach is a wonderful man and very respectful and a great reporter. He was just trying to catch what he could, so, catch as much as he could. So I don't want to discredit him in any way.
Right.
He caught a lot more than I did. So,
and it's like you were telling me yesterday, you guys, were under the assumption that we could hear this. Nobody knew inside that the mic was muted. And so you guys had to like come back off the top of your head and like try to remember it.
Right. We weren't taking notes because we were like, okay, this is finally going to be on audio. So if they had kept Dr. Lewis on the floor and I knew people couldn't hear, I would have kept writing notes.
Right.
But once they put her up and they mic'd her up, the judge even told the clerk, go over and make sure her mic is on. So he walked over to make sure her mic was on. And the whole time we didn't know you couldn't hear either of them.
Wow.
So I'm really hoping the court does release a transcript of those questions.
Right.
At a minimum, maybe the press will ask for that because a lot of people were waiting for those questions. So, okay.
So, and just to clarify, I'm going to go over that to kind of, so she opened up a clinic, a DID clinic at this hospital. And so when it opened up, of course, the numbers went up. And when it closed, did they go down? It went down.
She believed the numbers went down.
Okay.
And she said it's a matter of that most DID cases, just as with antisocial personality, those are not discovered until someone enters the criminal system.
Okay.
Because that's when the evaluations are done. And that's when it's found out. Someone in the general public isn't usually going to be diagnosed, because they're not going to have an encounter to be diagnosed unless a family member says something's really not right here. We need to get you help.
Okay.
So yes,
And,
she said, yeah, I think they went down. So go ahead.
okay. And the answer that he had was Lewis said there was no actual research conducted on this as far as she knows, but she would bet money that the answer is yes. Question 3. How do you determine if someone is faking or exaggerating their mental illness or not? Should I jump to the
Go
answer?
ahead and do his.
Okay.
Yes.
Answer. Lewis gave a very long-winded answer to this, but essentially said what she had said a couple of times in trial about this, that you have to look at how someone acts in an interview and look at the evidence of existing outside of the interview in things like past writings, which she did reference that a lot of times.
She did. And what I'll add to this is, in the end, I didn't hear a whole lot of things that happened before the murder. That's the only thing I heard, was that a member of the family told Dr. Lewis that Letecia asked to be called Maria when she was young. That's the only evidence. Now, if she has writings, that was not brought up in court. But that's what she was saying, that how you know if they're faking DID or their mental illness. Well, this says mental illness, but it said faking DID. It was looking at evidence before the crime. She said looking at things from when someone is 10 years old, and you're not going to fake your name at 10 knowing you're going to commit a murder at 35.
Okay.
And she said she has seen evidence in patients as young as 3 or 4 that you can tell that they're doing, they're disassociating and calling themselves different names. But then again, how do you differentiate that from imaginary childhood friends?
Right.
You have to have some kind of trauma going on also. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In question 4, did you perform any tests to help determine if Stauch was faking or exaggerating the ID? And the answer is yes. That was actually all she said. That might have been the shortest answer the entire trial given.
Right. Well, they combined. The judge she went on and on about the first one, and then when the judge got to question 4, he said, "Oh, well, this is kind of a repeat of question 3." And what I'm going to add to this was, yesterday I said what I remembered as the question was, how do you know if someone is malingering with DID? And that's when she said, well, is there a test? And she said, there isn't a test. Like, I think we heard in the Heard case, like there's these tests they take that determine if they're malingering for whatever they have, specific data. And she said, there is no test. There's no written test. But her defense for knowing that someone doesn't malinger or is that, I'm trying to look for the word, the mitigating circumstance to know that someone's not malingering is to see that they did things in high school or in their childhood. They drew differently at different times. They wrote differently at different times and used different names at different times and had blackout periods. So you're looking at data that has happened in the past to know that this didn't just suddenly, all of a sudden they're going to start creating the symptoms.
Okay.
So that's the only kind of informal test, but there is no MMP, whatever those tests were mentioned in the Heard case.
Okay.
And so then that's what she's saying. Were there any tests? And she said yes. And that basically was going back to, you just look at what data is available long before the murder happened.
Okay.
Okay.
So juror question 5 says, earlier you said people with DID are more susceptible to believe what people say to them. Then why do you openly talk about potential theories and explanations in front of the defendant during the interview? Ooh, I love that.
It was a very good question.
And the answer, I'll give you the answer, and then if you want to add to it.
Okay.
another long-winded answer from Lewis, and one I didn't fully understand, and I think can best describe as 1 out of 2. It's often good to run theories and questions by defendants to see their responses, even if their answers can't necessarily be trusted, as the response can still inform on sanity.
Yeah, there is no 2. That was it.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Maybe I'll click it.
Yeah. So she's saying, this one I was confused on too. And I will tell you, as I was thinking about this, she did give a good example. Just give my old brain a day. Maybe I'll remember the example. I won't call it old brain. I'll call it 2 days of listening to Letecia and Dr. Lewis has affected my brain. She did give a really good example that I thought that satisfied me. Because I didn't think the attorney should be in there. I don't know if you guys couldn't hear, but I was paying attention. Lewis was leading her a lot in some of the questions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the interview, she was leading, and we'll do this another time, I guess, because we'll go through the videos where you guys couldn't hear. I took a lot of notes and a lot of observations, and we'll talk about that another thing. But yeah, that was, I apologize, but there was a better answer that Lewis gave on this one.
Okay.
Very good question. She gave a very good example, and I think everyone, when I tell the example, when I can remember it, will go, oh, yes, they have done this in other cases. So okay. I don't think it changed anything.
Oh, so you're saying they've done this type of thing in other cases?
Yes. Her answer was like, in other cases we have, lawyers in there questioning, and it doesn't really change things.
Okay.
And he never, and that was one of the follow-ups, how they let the attorneys come up and do follow-ups, which I don't think they did follow-ups, but it was mentioned that the lawyer never said anything. Like, he never gave her information he was just there, and they would turn to him and she would ask him, like, do you want to ask her anything? He's like, no, but like Letecia brought up Pearl in the interview, and Dr. Lewis turned to the attorney and said, do you know who Pearl is? And he said, I do not know who Pearl is, and we've reached out to her family, and nobody knows who Pearl is. So I do not think the attorney interfered with the questioning, although it is out of standard operating procedures of what they do when they do these evaluations.
Okay.
I thought Lewis was leading her more than the attorney
for sure.
ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Ever got close to it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so question 6 here. If the EEG and MRI weren't provided, how can you issue a final sanity report? Which I think that's just so telling too. The answer he has listed here is Lewis said that basically she can still conduct sanity exam with interviews and background research and be confident in her findings, but that the EEG and MRI would have just potentially helped prove her findings. And then he missed the last question.
Yes, and he missed the last one. So on this one, about the EEG and MRI, which was shocking for her to say towards the end of her testimony, she said, I'm not finished with my evaluation of her. And we all looked at each other like, why are you here?
Wow.
Yeah, she said it's ongoing and it can't be complete until those. So what he's saying here is she used other evidence, but she absolutely said, I'm not finished with my evaluation. It's an ongoing thing, and I still want those done. And everybody, I was like, wow, wow.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah. And while we're on this topic, I'm not sure if this was aired or caught yesterday, but the day before, everybody was feeling sorry, including myself, for Dorothy, because she was on the stand and the prosecution notified Dorothy that the funding had been pulled by the defense for the EEG and MRI, and she acted shocked. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That's the whole thing where I think was she caught in a lie, or she just really forgot? She was caught in a lie, right?
Right. So yesterday,
The emails.
The emails came out that said, Dorothy, you told us not to do the test.
I actually got a video on that, but yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, perfect.
I wasn't around. Yeah. So
I'm working on a video. I haven't done it yet.
It was like they were impeaching their own witness, you know? It was quite interesting. So I didn't feel so sorry for her after that. But then she came back and she said, yes, but I came back. I said I didn't want the EEG and MRI before my evaluation. And so I came back later and asked for it. But she does everything in her own timing, and this case has been put off for too long.
Right.
You know, and so they were like, no, we have no more time. Time's up. We're going to trial. So that's it on that. And if I happen to remember the seventh question, or if I see it floating around anywhere, I'll let you know. But he's a great reporter. I'm so glad he got that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think I remembered one out of the seven.
Amazing.
I remembered about the hospital, but I'm glad he got it down. And he's a great guy and a great reporter, and I hope you all follow him.
Yes, I'm going to put his links. I'm going to put his links in the description and the comment section. Go follow him on Twitter. And also, Amy will probably be here. So you're not going to go to the trial tomorrow, right? You're going to watch?
No. Okay. No. I'm afraid I'm going to drive down there, listen to closing, get in my car,
right,
and the verdict's going to be read while I'm in my car, and I'd rather be with the chat group. So.
Yeah, so I'll call you at some point, whether it's like lunch break or we can do both. Maybe the lunch break when I get back, and maybe when there's like a verdict watch. I don't know how long that's going to take, but we can hang out and go over video and like talk and.
Right. I like I said, I took a lot of notes. Mo let me know you guys couldn't hear the video, and I was having a hard time. So I took a lot of timestamps and wrote as much as I could when the doctor was interviewing Letecia, and she was supposedly changing her alters. So I have a lot of notes on that, so we can, kill some time going through a few of my comments that I took during those interviews, and maybe help out, fill in some blanks.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Amy. I appreciate you. Love you. Thank you so much for the support and like all the information. And we'll be talking tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds great. Love you too.
Bye,
Hello, chat. Bye-bye.
Bye.